A black federal judge walks out of his courthouse thinking it's just another morning, but within seconds, a white off duty cop's fist shatters the calm, and the FBI pulls their triggers before anyone can even ask why. The sun over San Antonio didn't blink. The courthouse gleamed like justice was clocking in, but walking down those marble steps was Judge Elijah Stone, black, proud, and built from storms. Leather case in hand, robe flowing behind him like a banner of survival. He'd just finished 3 plea hearings, a suppression motion, and a juvenile transfer. Heavy work, but his face stayed calm. That same face had faced bomb threats, protests, and white rage wrapped in polite smiles, but that face had never met a white fist. Then, bam! No warning, no words, just a blur of knuckles. Officer Finn Hayes, off duty, no badge, just hate. That punch wasn't about the moment. It was history condensed into one hit. The sound cracked across the steps, not like a gunshot, but like a bone snapping under centuries of arrogance. Elijah stumbled but didn't fall. He looked straight at Hayes, searching for a reason, a word, even an insult, but Hayes's expression was cold, almost rehearsed. Before the second swing, 3 men in bureau jackets stormed in. No hesitation. One yelled, one drew, and 2 gunshots ripped through the morning air. Hayes dropped instantly, eyes still open. Silence fell. Elijah's jaw throbbed, blood trickling down his chin, but he stood tall. The agent asked, "Judge Stone, are you all right?" "I'm fine," Elijah muttered, but everyone watching knew he wasn't. News hit the air before the blood dried. Black judge assaulted, FBI shoots cop on scene. America tilted again, as it always did. But the question underneath was louder than the headlines. If a black federal judge could get punched on his own courthouse steps, who was really safe? And if the FBI fired because cameras were rolling, was that justice or just PR? That night, Elijah sat in his apartment near the Riverwalk, pressing ice to his cheekbone. His phone buzzed, a single encrypted text. "They're not done." He stared at it, then reached behind his law books for a manila envelope. Sealed memos, whistleblower reports, evidence of something called the River Protocol. He'd tried to go through the system before. They ignored him. Now, Hayes was dead, and Elijah knew it wasn't about justice. It was cleanup. So he opened his laptop and began to write. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story on Voices Unchained is one you definitely don't want to miss. 8 years before that punch, Elijah had been a prosecutor at the Bexar County Justice Center, still naive enough to believe the law was fair. That illusion shattered when his father, a retired Air Force vet, got pulled over by a white cop and ended up face down on the pavement. The officer? Quietly transferred. No apology, no charges, just the system protecting itself. So Elijah joined prosecution thinking, if I work inside the fire, maybe I can stop it from burning the wrong people. But the fire didn't need saving, it needed fuel. Then came the Perez case. A young Hispanic woman shot during a police raid. No warrant, no drugs, just a mistake. Elijah demanded body cam footage, and his boss pulled him aside with a smirk. "Elijah, the system isn't broken. It was built this way. Your job is to keep it running." He didn't argue. He just started collecting evidence. Redacted PDFs, sealed case files, lost recordings, his private archive of silence. And as he rose through the ranks to become the youngest federal judge in the district, the warnings grew quieter, but sharper. Be the example, don't shake the walls. But one name kept returning in those files, Finn Hayes. Every violent stop, every missing video. Same man, same immunity. Hayes wasn't protected because he was valuable. He was protected because he was disposable. Then came Diego Reyes, an FBI civil rights analyst who handed Elijah a thumb drive labeled RP Archive. Inside, hundreds of erased reports, encrypted logs, and one recurring title, The River Protocol. It was a federal network protecting loyal enforcers in volatile districts, a system that rewarded violence, erased accountability, and sacrificed anyone who broke rank. Elijah spent the night reading, and by dawn, he wasn't angry. He was terrified. The next morning, an envelope slid under his office door. Inside was a photo of his sister picking up her son from school with the words scrawled across the back, "Not everyone you love wears armor." He burned the motion he'd prepared to expose the files, but he didn't destroy the drive. He hid it, watched, waited, until the day Hayes returned, not as a name in a case, but as a fist. That punch wasn't rage. It was a warning, and the bullets that followed weren't justice. They were damage control. The Bureau didn't shoot to save Elijah, they shot to erase Hayes before he talked. Elijah realized then he wasn't the hero of this story. He was the cleanup. So he wrote. He documented everything, every name, every file, every memo they buried. That journal would become the map others would follow. Weeks later, he began teaching law at a local college, quieter now but still burning inside. One afternoon, a student named Sarah Diaz raised her hand and asked, "Professor Stone, do you think justice is still possible?" He paused, staring at the photo of Maria Perez, the woman whose case started it all. "I don't know if it's possible," he said slowly, "but I know it's necessary." Outside that classroom, the world was already shifting. The mothers of the unnamed, those who'd lost their children to accidents, had formed a coalition. Diego Reyes, no longer FBI, handed them the last of his files at a town hall meeting. The River Protocol was no longer a secret. It was a scandal. The city commissioner finally went on record. Effective immediately, the Tactical Integrity Enforcement Division, also known as the River Protocol, is disbanded. And just like that, a machine built to protect power collapsed under the truth. Elijah stood outside the courthouse where it all began, staring at those marble steps. He whispered, "Justice doesn't knock. You open the door yourself." Because this wasn't revenge, it was release. His story wasn't a tombstone. It was a doorway for everyone still waiting behind theirs. The same system that tried to silence him ended up amplifying his voice to the world. That's what happens when one man refuses to flinch. If that story lit a fire in you, don't let it die out. Hit that subscribe button, share this video, and drop A in the comments for Judge Elijah Stone. Because here on Voices Unchained, we don't just tell stories, we free them.